All right then, shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we were ad really talking about Interview with a
No,
Vampire.
you're probably right. Welcome, everybody. I'm Steve,
I'm Kevin.
and welcome to Nerds Talk. And I was wondering the other day whether we should change the name, but
Because we're
no,
not nerds anymore.
no, we're definitely not nerds. We're kind of like cool geeks. Let us know what you think.
I wouldn't have added the word cool to it.
No, we're definitely cool, aren't we? Aren't we?
Well, the thing is, we had the definition of what nerds and geeks are, and I think I'm definitely not a nerd because to be a nerd, you've got to be good at like maths and stuff like that, and I'm not. Geeks are just non-intelligent nerds. No offense
Yeah,
to geeks.
that's true. And like I said, I've always said this: geeks can be cool as well.
Geek chic.
Yeah, whereas nerds, it's kind of the stereotype is you can't be cool as a nerd. And actually, speaking of nerds, I watched Christine, the movie, the other night. Went to the cinema to
What
see.
the old
Yeah,
80s one with
yeah,
the car?
yeah. And because Cineworld do loads of different sort of movies at different times. So it's obviously it's horror season because of Halloween, obviously. So I've been to see The Exorcist, which was really good, and I don't think I watched the whole film years ago, but really good. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought the story was excellent, and
I'd like to see that on the big screen, actually.
yeah, it was just excellent. And the the director, he just died a few months ago, but this is the one that they showed was his last version of it because he'd done something with the contrast. I think, and some of it you could kind of tell that the contrast was changed. But
Did they have the spider walk in it? Because that was the addition that was cut out of the original.
oh,
The where she walks down the stairs backwards.
oh yeah, they had that in it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cut from the original film.
Oh,
And I think, yeah, that was a later addition. They re-edited that into the film.
yeah,
Um,
that was there. Actually, that was a little bit comical now. At the time, probably really scary.
well, the thing is that it made sense the reason why he cut the spider walk scene out because the next scene there's something shocking in there as well. So he's saying you've got that and then you've got that, and it's like he's sort of gone from one to the other, and
Yeah.
he said it didn't work so much.
To be fair, when she goes down the stairs like upside down, like doing the crab,
Yeah,
it was a very short clip anyway. It wasn't. They didn't make
yeah.
a huge amount out of it. It was just all of a sudden, ta-doon, she's coming down the stairs and it was like, ah!
He grabs her legs, and yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but really excellent. And then I went to see uh, Hellraiser 1.
Oh, another
And
old one.
well, yeah, no, yeah, like I said, they're playing the classics, right? So Hellraiser 1 for me was a mix between Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Um, I can't think of another film that covers kind of bondage, right? But then the other thing is the other mix was Doctor Who, like literally Doctor Who. Um,
Really?
yeah, yeah, like
I'm trying to
honestly.
think about that one.
But if you think about this because they make it like quite really dark by having this. Obviously, it's like the guy gets torn apart with hooks and everything,
Very
and then
Doctor Who, yeah.
and yeah, and then you've got the like the interdim. Oh, I don't know what they call like interdimensional um
The Cenobite.
from hell. That's it, the Cenobites. You've got those guys who are into like they're totally into bondage and hurting and killing. So and they're not actually in the film that much actually. But then but actually one of them he reminds me of a Doctor Who character. I can't remember which one, but it's like a grotesque kind of fattish kind of character.
Oh, you're talking about something out of like new series of Doctor Who rather than the classic, aren't you? I think
Yeah,
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about there. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it was because of the what do you call it, the actual makeup and yeah,
Looked a bit rubbish.
yeah, it looked Doctor Who-ish. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
but I still quite liked it, but it wasn't as good as The Exorcist. And then I went to see um Friday the 13th, which is actually just a bit rubbish. Like
I'm gonna confess,
yeah,
like I started watching it, and I'm like, I couldn't get into it, and I didn't ever finish it.
Mm.
Everyone says, "Oh, it's a classic." I'm like, I just didn't like it.
It is a classic, but it's I mean, maybe it was scary at the time. It's not really that scary. Some of the scenes are quite cool, like the way uh the way that people are killed in it. But it's like it's just kids like wanting to have sex. Do you know what I mean? And then next thing you know, they're getting killed. But the comical bit, the really comical bit for me was like all of a sudden Jason's mother shows up, and she's the one that's been killing them all, and she's wearing like a woolen jumper,
Yeah.
and she just looks like your nana or something. You know what I mean? She's just she's just like not quite menacing enough. But the best bit about the whole film, the absolute best bit, and I thought actually there's a bit at the end that they could have just chopped out altogether to finish the film. They should have just filmed on this bit. Was the bit right where I've forgotten her name now, but the one of the main characters has killed the mother, and then she's in the middle of the lake in a boat, just kind of waiting for the police, and then the police show up, and she kind of looks up. Next thing you know, Jason leaps out of the lake behind her and drags her in, and I thought that was just awesome, really really good scene.
Mm.
But the rest of it was just a little bit, and then they had that scene, and that could have just ended the whole film. That could have been the end, and then she wakes up in the hospital, and it's like, oh my God, was that a dream? What
What?
about
I didn't know there was a dream ending type thing in it.
yeah? And then she was like, but what about Jason? And they're like, what are you talking about? And she's like, he's in the lake. And do you know what I mean? They just ended the film in they reached the peak and scared everyone with like Jason leaping out of the lake.
Dragging
And then,
her under, and then she wakes. Oh, yeah, that's a bit.
yeah, so it was a bit lame.
A bit of a, was it real or was it like, yeah.
Just a bit like, oh, all right, okay. Film could have finished right there, but it didn't. And then, yeah, and then I went to see Christine, and I was really impressed with Christine. I
That
thought,
is actually shocking. Like the effects from what I haven't seen in years, but I remember the way the car comes back together and things. There's some
yeah,
really good effects in it.
yeah,
It doesn't look that dated.
I didn't think it looked dated at all, actually.
No.
Um,
It's a period kind of thing, wasn't it? Or
well,
what I remember.
the only thing that's dated in all of these movies, actually, except The Exorcist, because it doesn't really do this, but is the attitude, the attitudes, like teenage attitudes towards girls,
Yeah.
because they're like overtly like sexual and like yeah, do you know what I mean? It's just stuff that people would frown upon now, but actually it makes the films quite a bit fun as well.
Yeah, they were always very sexual thing in
Yeah,
these horror films in the 80s,
yeah,
probably through most of the 90s as well. I mean, you look at Scream and all that.
yeah.
Um,
So yeah, and that I've forgotten why I was even going to mention why were we even talking about Christine? You mentioned something that reminded us of Christine.
Killer Cars.
Killer
My
cars.
car tried to kill me.
Well, before we talk about what we want to talk about, instead of talking about movies all the time, I can't help myself. Um, I just thought I'd run a few daft news items by you
Oh
because
no, hang on. I just
yeah, what?
remembered why we got onto Christine because we were
What?
talking about geeks and nerds and geeks being cool and nerds not.
Yeah,
And that led you to Christine for some reason, but I can't remember why.
no, no idea. Maybe that just it's a good example of how cool we are. Let us
Or
know if
forgetful.
yeah, exactly. So I'm just going to run some news items by you, see what you think. So there's this
You
one
need a
news.
jingle. Hang on, you need a jingle. It's the news time with Sweeney. It's the news. News. That was rubbish.
Yeah, we'll come up with something that we'll refine it. I mean, good start. But we'll okay. So first bit of news is there is a bale of straw hanging from London's Millennium Bridge as part of a quirky tradition. Now, why do you think a bale of hay or a bale of straw would be hanging from London's Millennium Bridge?
I can only think it's something to do with when you had horse-drawn carts, and it was a requirement for taxis to have bales of hay in their boots or something for horses to eat.
Well, your explanation is much better than the real one.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, go on.
So it's literally it serves a practical purpose. So there's the City Bridge Foundation is a charity that looks after like Thames crossings in London, and they I think they might have just made this up right as a thing to get some like publicity or something. But this is one of those quirky traditions that London is famous for, apparently, even though I've never heard of it. Um, it's to warn ships that
Oh,
to give workers some headroom when they're working on underneath the bridge.
what?
So you know when they're fixing up bits underneath the bridge,
Yeah.
they're just hanging there, as if you can't see like workers hanging there in their high vis. They have to hang a bale of hay so that ships coming under can go. Oh, let's stay away from that little bit there. Just we'll shift over to the side a little bit so that we can give them room.
No, that sounds made up.
What they reckon it is a bundle of straw is lowered by the contractor when they're doing some work under the bridge. In this, and because they were installing some netting underneath the bridge, so yeah, so they've made a story of it, and it sounds like a non-story to me, but it's just like it sounds like they made it up. They've definitely made this up. Okay, so the next story is, can you remember the killer clowns a few years ago? It's probably like 2017, 2016,
Oh,
maybe.
hang on. Are you talking about? I remember there was the Northampton clown. That was a sinister clown that would be spotted around Northampton, just standing there looking evil.
Yeah,
Was it that?
yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, and but the problem with it was people were like genuinely scared,
Yeah.
and I think it all started as just a thing on YouTube, didn't it? Like you know those
Oh, yeah.
stories
There
where
were, you were seeing people being chased by them. They were like getting proper like scared a
yeah,
little. Yeah, it was brilliant.
the problem was like some of the clowns ended up getting chased themselves.
Yeah.
Well, Pennywise style clown is stalking the streets of a Scottish village, leaving games for residents to solve.
Oh,
So this is the next level. This
sounds like the Riddler.
yeah. So you've got this guy dressed up as or girl, who knows, dressed up as, but it's probably a guy because guys are like mad, and this is the kind of thing. Girls will probably be like, "Why would I do that?"
Um,
Whereas blokes are kind of like, this will be good."
I mean, it's the sort of thing that would be tempted to do.
Yeah, true.
So you
But
dress,
this
it's
is
your turn to dress up as the clown, Steve. I'll film it.
exactly. So a clown's been stalking the streets of this of this village, and leaving like boxed clues.
Huh?
Oh, the place is a Skellymore. No, Skelmorley. That's it. But this all happened on Friday the 13th, which is the best day ever. Um, and yeah, these little boxes of like riddles, small black cash box, um, where people open them and there's like clues inside. One of them just had clown written in it, so I'm not really sure how much of a clue that is.
He didn't put a lot of thought into that one.
uh, um, and this clown though has spoken to Sky News,
What?
and and so they've
From
actually
like
interviewed
under a sewer.
yeah. And like these clues have been were left around so that people could try and solve them, but they only had like Friday to solve it. I don't know what would happen if they'd never solved it in time, but you know
Someone
maybe
dies.
someone dies. Yeah. Well, talking about people dying, there's another there's another article here about a bright pink glow in the sky above the UK leads locals to fear it's the end of the world because we all love a good end of the world like sign, don't we?
Hmm.
So
Is that not just
right
a
this
sunset?
well you, it might be you never know, but this is from the Mirror and it says it appeared like it was straight out of a sci-fi film with images showing the pinkish hue in the sky over Thanet on Thursday. Puzzled locals were left guessing.
Around sunset time.
I mean, the pictures that they show are actually like really pink, but I think I've seen this before. and just thought like, not even thought anything of it. Oh, look, the sky looks a bit pink.
It's
You know what I
the
mean?
end of the world.
Well, for me, I kind of assume that it's something to do with the sun. You know, like the Northern Lights, because they can
Yeah.
come. Northern Lights can come quite far down the UK. You can you can see them quite far down sometimes, not just in Scotland. But the
Yeah.
reason for it has now been identified, and while the scenes look like they were from a movie, the answer is actually based on science. With it
Oh.
being it's artificial light from an agricultural company growing 400 million tomatoes.
Oh, you've taken all the magic out of life now. Hang on, no, that sounds like it's actually aliens. The government have come up with an explanation, so it's not people thinking it's aliens.
Yeah,
It's agricultural people growing
yeah.
tomatoes. Yeah,
For
it's that.
and they've had to put a number on it. Like they're growing 400 million tomatoes. Like the number means anything. You know what I mean? Like what does a number 400 million tomatoes actually say to anyone other than they grow lots of tomatoes?
That's nearly 500 million tomatoes. Now, I don't know many people that actually like tomatoes, so they're just going to go to waste.
I grow tomatoes. Um,
You like tomatoes?
yeah, yeah, I do actually. Yeah, but not to like. I don't. My son eats lots of tomatoes, but I can't just sit there and eat pop tomatoes. But I do have them with stuff like if I'm
Yeah,
making
this is
fish.
weird. I can eat a cherry tomato. I don't mind
Yeah,
cherry, but I don't like the big tomatoes.
yeah. Do
Yeah.
you like the big tomatoes though if they're grilled or something? Or,
No, to be fair, I don't, you're talking about the sort on a breakfast. I
yeah,
won't eat it if it's grilled. If you've got a big tomato and it's in like a burger and you're eating it in a burger and there's or a kebab or something, I'll eat it then.
see, I always take it out because it's just a bit soggy. Makes everything
You
a bit
see,
soggy.
I don't mind it as much when you've got a lot going in that going when you've got a lot of stuff going on. I don't mind that one thing isn't really making that much difference for me. And I like having a soggy burger anyway because you've got to have your burger slightly undercooked, so it's a bit juicy.
Yeah, true, true. Unless it's like a a lamb burger. Can you actually? You can't. Yeah, you have to fully cook lamb, don't you? Depends on the meat. Depends on the meat. Like beef.
I'm never sure because I've had it where I thought, oh, this lamb doesn't seem very. It seems a bit pink.
Yeah,
It's a grey area.
yeah. I had a because I had a few thingies of lamb the other week, and I cooked them all so they were a little bit pink because that's how I like it. But then kind of that's how I like. I wouldn't do that with chicken or pork, but I
I
kind
think
of.
lamb you can because I've
Mhm.
done that before and I've had it like that before. I'm not sure, so I would never cook it like that. But I will always undercook a beef because I know that you can easily have that rare.
Yeah, true.
Weird that you can have undercooked beef, but you can't have undercooked chicken.
Yeah, probably just too much. There's just more bacteria in chicken.
Imagine it. Like, how would you like your chicken? Oh, I'll have that rare, please.
Maybe, yeah, you just end up really ill, wouldn't you?
But
Salmonella.
meat, but it's still meat. Why is one meat all right having it undercooked and the other one isn't all right having it undercooked? We'll have to research that one
Yeah.
or get the listeners to comment in or write in to
S-
PO Box.
Someone will know. Someone will definitely know this. Um, okay,
Dr.
so
Google will know.
yeah, I was going to talk about this one, but I'm just going to give you the headline and we'll move on. Woman feels sick after colleague casually asks to drink her breast milk. But this one's a good one because in South Korea, a student ate a banana artwork because he was hungry. Guess how much this banana artwork was valued at?
£2?
$120,000. And he's like, I'm hungry, so he just ate it.
But surely that artwork would have just been destroyed eventually anyway because it would have rotted.
Mate, this artwork, right, is a banana unpeeled, taped to a wall.
And
So
that's 100,000.
120 grand. So he's come in and went, oh, I'm starving. I didn't have breakfast. Oh, there's a banana. So he just opened it and ate it. Yes. I don't know if he's probably in prison now, isn't he? Doing time like you need to pay for this or go to jail.
I'll just make another one. I'll replace it. I'll buy how much is a banana and some sellotape.
Yeah, exactly. The artist, if you could call him an artist, is a guy called Maurizio Catalan.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, he says the frequent consumption of his work is no problem.
Yeah, because he's laughing. He's buying a banana for 50 pence, sticking it on the wall and charging someone 100 grand.
Exactly.
Right, we're doing this.
Yeah, let's create some artwork. Just tape something. Well, we probably get it wrong. We'll probably like make some porridge or something and then try and tape porridge to a wall and be like, oh, this is not working.
It's not like you've gone from like the idea. I was going to say maybe we can tape an apple to a wall, and your idea is taping porridge to a wall. I don't even know how that would work. Maybe the porridge packet. Okay.
Maybe it'd be worth more.
Possibly. It's
bananas. Who's got so much money that they can buy these things?
Bill Gates.
Absolutely, yeah, true.
Bananas are actually very dangerous, right? So if you eat more than 7 bananas, the potassium levels are deadly and they'll kill you, which is why they're not allowed to sell you more than 7 bananas in a bunch.
This can't be right.
Yeah,
in a bunch.
You're not allowed to buy a bunch of more than 7 bananas because it will kill you. The dosage is fatal.
Mind you, when I go to Tesco and I buy bananas, I grab a load of bananas and I just put them on the scales and press a button and it tells us how much the weight they are based on the weight. Do you think I'm going to test this next time I'm in Tesco? I'm going to put more than 7. I'm going to put 10 bananas on the scales and I'm going to see if it will.
Yeah, what'll happen is it's like if you think to yourself, "Oh, I've got no painkillers in, I'll buy 2 packets of ibuprofen." Someone will be right on you saying, "Why are you buying 2 packets of ibuprofen?"
Yeah,
are you like to make sure you're not suicidal? And then
yeah.
when they see that, oh, you don't look suicidal to me, so I'm going to approve your 2 packets of ibuprofen. The same will happen with bananas. Someone will be struck. Why are you buying more than 7 bananas? Are you feeling suicidal?
Well, I know for a fact in Tesco they don't allow more than 2, like ibuprofen or something like that. So you have to literally do 2 trips. They don't care if you pay for buy some, pay for it, and then put some more through and pay for it separately. They don't care about that.
But I mean, can you kill yourself by having too many ibuprofens?
Yeah, you can overdose on ibuprofen, can't you? And it's really bad for you as well. If you have it too regularly, you'll end up with stomach ulcers and all sorts.
Yeah. So. God, that's a poor man's suicide, isn't it?
I'm just trying to overdose on ibuprofen when I can afford to buy some.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was just going to kill myself, I'd jump off a bridge into a train or something.
Make it
But if I had 2 packets of ibuprofen on me at the time and I survived it and it hurt a bit, I'd have some painkillers.
For all the listeners out there that are concerned about mental health, please don't try and kill yourself. There's a hotline. Yeah, there's got to be. We're only joking. There's no. Okay. So what do we really want to talk about? We want to talk about martial arts, basically.
Now that is a nerdy subject, isn't it? Actually, so I'm told.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know because I've got one of my friends is he's always been massively into jiu-jitsu. And while I think that probably is a nerdy kind of thing. If you're hugely into a specific type of martial art, but you're also hard as nails, aren't you? Really?
Yeah.
So
this is the thing. So if you do karate and you really like karate and all that sort of stuff, you're a nerd. But if you like football and you go all the football and watch all the football and play football, yeah, you're just a guy. Like, what?
Yeah,
What?
yeah. You're a real man. Well, just some background then for the listeners. So, how long have you've been doing karate, haven't you? How long have you been doing karate?
uh, Well, I started karate in about 1993 originally. I must have been about 18, 19. Did it for 2 years then, but then got a job that was shift work. So then I'd got to like a purple belt or something in Shotokan karate, and then I couldn't commit to it. So I gave it up for about 25 years. Restarted again about 4.5 years ago at white belt, worked my way up, and yeah, so 4.5 years, and I've just got my black belt at last.
Yay! Well done. Well done. And to getting your belts right, does what process do you have to go through?
So you have Q grades before you get to a black belt, and you've got some like off the top of my head, I think it's 10 Q grades. So you start off at 10th Q, which is a white belt, and then go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So our first Q is like your brown with white stripe belt.
Yeah.
And then after that, you go for your black belt, which will be first Dan. And so what you've got at each level, so each lower grade, each lower grade before you're a black belt will have what's called a kata that you have to learn. So say you're going for your first belt, you learn basic kata kion, which is a set form of moves put together in a sequence, and they get more complicated the further up you go. So they've got something like 40 moves that you have to remember in a certain sequence and to execute the moves. So you'll have like say you've like turn, block, punch, turn the other way, punch, turn, punch, 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 block, block. So that's the basic one. And then they go up, they add in stuff like new blocks, new kicks.
Is this just standing there alone, performing the whole kata?
So you either sometimes perform the kata on your own in front of people, or you'll do it in group kata. Also, most of the basic katas form a H shape in the dojo. So you'll literally put all these different moves together into yeah. So you sort of like you're memorizing the sequences. And it's what you do. It's fitness, and it learns your technique, body memory, and all that muscle memory.
When you say H shape, are you talking about like your feet, the way your feet move on the floor?
No, so you'll turn. First of all, you're standing there. You turn to your left, then you step forward. You spin around. You turn to you go the other way, and then you turn around. Then you go down the middle of the dojo, and then you turn and mirror it at the other end. That's the basic kata.
Also you're using the whole dojo rather than just like.
Yeah, it's the whole dojo that you will move around, and that's the sort of the basic format. And then you've got like you go up, so they'll get more complicated the further up the belts that you go, so that you have to learn every single one of those, say 10 katas or so for the lower grades, and then you get onto like the black belt katas that get more and more complicated. There's some like 50 odd katas.
Jesus. So
They've all got their line. So you've got Kion, Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, Yondan, Godan, Teki Sandan, Basai Dai, and they've all got various themes. So like the last kata that I did, it's Basai Dai, and it means storming the castle. And it's basically they basically the grading, you'll have to hammer that, and it's always done better apparently when you're on your last legs. So it's like you're storming the castle, and it's like you've battled through, and now you've got to storm the castle, sort of thing.
so that's yeah. So how long does that whole thing last then?
What, a kata?
Well, the cat. Well, the whole thing really, like when you're getting your grading.
Oh, so on the gradings, you have to learn. So from the first time, what you'll do is you have to learn the basic blocks, kicks, and punches. So you'll have a basic punch, a basic blocks like upper block, agayuki, outside block, inside blocks, lower blocks, And then you'll have front kick, side snap kick, roundhouse kick. So they'll expect you to perform all of those moves and do your basic kata. And then as you go up, they'll expect you to do like put all of those basic moves together, and they'll tell you a combination to do, and you'll have to perform the combination. Then you'll have to do like your katas, but you'll also, as you go up, you start doing sparring, so you have to fight other people to show your technique and fighting ability.
Cool.
The black belt kata was probably the hardest grading I've ever done, just physically. They're trying to break you to literally make you hit a wall and go beyond it. So you're out, right, 16 laps running around the field. You come back, you perform some kata, then you straighten to do some fighting with people. Then I think I fought like 3 people. Then they'll send you out to do some more running around the fields. Come back, do another kata, do a load of combinations. And it was like an hour and a half of like this non-stop. I was absolutely dead on the last sort of legs, but you got to keep going just to show. And then they'll throw out a load of different combinations in Japanese at you, and they want you to just, even if you're not sure what you're doing, just do something to show that you're just doing something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real mind and physical thing that you have to go through.
So when you're like absolutely knackered, and I know what it's like, where you're wrecked, and then they're saying, "Do this," but they're shouting like some Japanese word that you've got to try and decipher and remember what that actually means. Then yeah, you can't think straight properly, can you? When you absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, because
So
it's like it will have you doing burpees, right? Doing burpees, and he's not. You're thinking, keep going, doing your burpees. There's like, right, everyone up, left leg forward, block. Now step forward, front punch, oizuki, yakizuki, Gidenbrai, step back, agiyuki, kazamazuki, Gidenbrai, forward, reverse block, 4 times begin.
Jesus.
And sorry, what's the first one again? But he says it really quick in like the Japanese as well. So obviously,
So
like.
so does he not even tell you as you're doing it? So you think you're trying to, like, you're doing the move that he's just said, and then he's shouting out another move that you have to do. Is he just saying it all in a sequence? So you have to try and remember the sequence.
He'll go for example, yeah. So he'll go for example, he'll make a combination up. So he'll go to you, you're all in a line, and he'll say to all of you at the same time, right, step forward, Oizuki, Yakuzuki, same arm reverse block, step back, Agiyuki, Kazamazuki, step forward, my Gary front kick,
What the?
step forward, reverse punch, Kazamazuki, Gidenbrai. And then 4 times begin. Right, then he'll say, right, go back to the start, and then he'll get one half of the group to do it, and then he'll chat for ages, and then he'll say, right, that combination I gave you before, do it 4 times. So you're trying to remember exactly what you've done, what you said, whilst he's yabbering around, because he's trying to make you confused and like, but he's seen that you're sort of thinking at the same time. It's
Yeah.
hard to describe. But it was funny. So my wife went along. She's never seen me do karate before, so she sat to watch my black belt grading. She was like asking loads of questions. She even said like she actually really enjoyed watching it because it was really interesting.
Yeah. It looks, well, when you sent me the video of a couple of your fights as well, they were pretty cool. It's like the reaction time, like, because you also got to, like you said, you got to take into account that you're right at the end of like being beasted, and then all
Yeah,
of a sudden you're fighting somebody, and you have to try and react to them attacking you, and also you trying to counter attack and then attack them as well. So yeah, must be
yeah.
must be
It,
difficult. I mean, you're
it's
not going to expect any kind of black belt grading to be easy, the way, really.
no, it's bloody hell though. But yeah, that the videos I sent you on that one, you could tell like one of the fights, both of us are absolutely knackered.
Yeah,
Um, but then you can see the other fight like that. I think the fight that I was fighting with the black belt, it was kind of, I thought both of us are more looking for openers, a bit more sort of controlled. But when I was fighting the younger lad, he was quite a scrappy kind of like constant fighting.
yeah.
So that was a little bit, I'd say, tougher. I had to push him away at one point. If you notice, I was like, all right, get him in the corner.
Yeah, he was doing
I
that thing
still
where
got the
you like
bruises.
you just keep moving into somebody, and then you kind of you're forced to move back because you're defending, and then you
Yeah.
get stuck, kind of in a corner, so you have to try and move yourself around, so you're not getting yourself stuck against a wall or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm I like quite a defensive fighter, so I'm pretty good at blocks, I think, and that's what I've been told. So I kind of like it when someone's coming at me because I'm quite and I'd rather look for an opening where I can.
Yeah.
But I'm disappointed that no one shouted out, "Get him a body bag!" or
Yes.
"Finish him!
Finish him. Take him out.
You got
Take him.
this, Johnny!"
Did you ever consider breaking someone's leg, putting an end to their career?
Yeah, sweep the leg.
Ah, it
Yeah,
sounds good. It
but
sounds hard though. And like, how much practice do you do?
I normally do karate 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So this week, I'm still, even though I've got my black belt now, I've done 3 nights this week and I've got a fourth tonight. I kind of want to push forward to show that I've got a black belt. I'm not giving up now. I'm still going to be as committed. So I want the second Dan.
So the Dan. So you have to go for the second Dan of the black belt, as if getting a black belt isn't hard enough. You Do you have to go through all that again and more? Do they add extra time to it, or is it just more complicated, like sequences, or what? What's the deal then?
Well, someone, the black belt I was fighting, he was going for his second Dan. So he did the same grading as us, but they expect you to do a black belt kata. So he had to do like some black belt katas, which are a lot more complicated. So it was still as tough as what we were doing, but I think for you just had to do a little bit more kata. So I don't think they can push it any more harder than that. But you're expected. That's the other thing. They won't put you in for each grade unless they think you're ready. So
Yeah,
it's kind of a case of, look, you're good enough to get this black belt, but you just have to show that you are at this grading. So in other words, I think they've kind of already know that you've done enough training, seen you in class to know that you're ready for it. So if you weren't making the effort of going that much, you wouldn't be put forward for it anyway. So I think part of the grading is how much you do in lessons.
yeah, because they can. I mean, I suppose that's the only place they can see how
Yeah,
how
but
you
it's like
progress
that.
and how good you are.
Yeah, so they're not going to put you forward until you've proved yourself in the lessons anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I think it's a great kind of thing to get into. It's my cardio. I don't like cardio, so this gives me a heavy amount of cardio each
Uh-huh.
week.
I would call this as well as aerobic, anaerobic, because you do you push past the normal cardio workout. I think it's the same for probably most martial arts anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, even each lesson you do, you're just some lessons you just sweat pouring off you because you've got the heavy gi on as well.
Yeah.
But some of the like the week before the grading, he was proper beasting us. The sensei, I think, trying to get you in that zone or that sort of mental place to know what you've got to go through for the grading.
Yeah. Actually, I remember I did judo when I was a kid, and
Oh,
when I say a kid, I must have been like 9 or something.
hmm.
Maybe I was a little bit older, but I do remember doing a competition. I can't really remember doing that much judo, but I did a competition, right? So I don't know what's going on there. But
Oh,
I remember fighting an older boy, and he completely thrashed us,
yeah,
obviously. But I can't really like thinking back, you're like, because I was actually upset that because he just kind of was a lot bigger and stronger than me, so he grabbed a hold of us, and then I think he was like, I don't know, he grabbed us and chucked us down and held us down or something. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know, maybe it was like, maybe it was, maybe it was like Karate Kid, finish him, and then
yeah, yeah.
I remember being upset about that because like um I don't know, I probably felt like it was unfair. Like
So
why?
that was the end of your judo career.
Yeah, just I think that totally put us off because I like to enjoy things, and I know fighting isn't always enjoyable, but you know what I mean. There's a point where like as a kid you're a lot smaller than some other person, and then Yeah, it almost didn't really feel fair at all.
Yeah. So I what I like about like karate, I don't know how judo works, but it isn't just about the fighting bit. You have that kata part. It's kind of like putting all those moves together. It's kind of like body and mind, and
Uh-huh.
almost a spiritual level to it. Um, and you can be competitive against yourself. So you've got two aspects: a competitive side of like the sparring, and then that kata part where you want to improve your kata each time you do it. Well, I don't know if judo is just about throws and things all the time. And
I'd probably guess that it is about it will have some kind of spiritual element to it, right? But I think when you're a kid, the other thing that I didn't like, and I don't really know how you might have more experience of it of being different, but I didn't like going to the judo lesson and just standing there and kicking. Or what did I kick? I can't remember kicking, but it was just like it was just drills, and it just felt really
yeah,
like just felt boring.
yeah. So that so when I did karate, there's different styles of teaching. But I remember when I was doing karate in the '90s, it was drills like kicking, 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 stepping forward, punching, 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 because it's muscle memory.
Uh,
As an element of that now, but I think it's a little bit. It depends on your sensei, but I find it's a little bit more varied. But you do have to keep practicing that outside block or upper block, so
yeah.
that it eventually just your brain. If they say right lower block, but you just do it without thinking.
Well, I also think, like, just thinking about this now, but I also think that at the time, if I would have been told that the reason we do this is for whatever, it is to to muscle memory, so that if you have to react to someone, you will just do it without even thinking about it, rather than tense up a little bit and then decide to do it. If I'd have been told I'm thinking probably if I'd have been told the reasoning behind it, then I might have been a little bit more focused. But when you just show up to these things and they go stand in a row and then do this, it's kind of like, oh, what is the point? But
Yeah, well,
I've always felt like that. Like you're doing something. There needs to be a reason for it.
but that you clearly mustn't have seen Karate Kid back then, where he's painting the fence over and over, and he's doing the chores and like
Yeah,
just doing chores. Is that it's muscle memory?
yeah. No, I don't think I'd seen Karate Kid at that point.
Uh,
Uh, no, but it's funny, like because I was never um like at school I was rubbish at sport. I was rubbish at most things like that, right? And it wasn't until I left school that I started to get into things.
Same here.
Um,
I wasn't good at sports.
yeah, and but I find that I'm the kind of person that's probably better at the individual sports. If I'm going to do a sport, mind you, I can run around. I can play. I'm not very skillful with football, but I can run around with a ball. Do you know what I mean? So, well, I remember doing five-a-side not that long ago actually, but I was always quite good at just like annoying people who are skillful,
Yeah,
to the point like that I might get the ball off them. Do you know what I mean?
I'm
But
no good at football or anything. I'm terrible.
yeah, but as you know, like I've done wrestling,
Oh yeah. So tell
and
us about your wrestling.
well,
Got
for
a
the two,
wrestling name, haven't
I've
you?
done. Sorry.
You've got your wrestling name, haven't you?
Well, I've always just been the Sween, and I've never really like settled on a like a name other than my own name. It seemed to have worked. Although at one wrestling match, this is pro wrestling, this, but at one wrestling match, people thought my name was the Swede, probably because of me bald head. So
I'm just took a drink of water.
yeah.
That's the funny thing I've ever had. I'm just choking on water. The Swede. Oh no.
So that was quite funny.
They thought you were called
The Swede.
a wrestler called the Swede.
I, I
That's
do.
the lamest name ever.
I did.
This is the wrestler, the sweet potato,
Yeah.
the vegetable. Oh,
Oh, it's classic. But it's funny because I've done amateur wrestling and pro wrestling, and so amateur wrestling. There's loads of different types of wrestling, but like if you're just doing like freestyle wrestling, it means
wrestling.
wrestling.
Do you
Yeah,
do wrestling or wrestling?
I do wrestling, not wrestling. So and so I've done like competition. I got silver in like the UK Police Championships. That was pretty cool. That was I think it was 2016 that when I did that.
Well, that's
Um,
fairly recent-ish.
yeah. And that was good. I was really frustrated though. So I was in the final, and the guy I was fighting against was he was like a mixed martial arts guy. Um, and he was so frustrating because he didn't actually wrestle us. So I lost points because I was wrestling. So he was quite smart in this kind of way, but I'd never really fought anyone before that just didn't wrestle. But he said so that like things like I was going for it, and he was on the counter every single time. He lost points because he wasn't aggressive enough, but he
Mm.
didn't lose enough points to lose. Do you know what I mean? So, and what would happen is I would probably go for a leg and then sort of spin around, and then he would be able to get out and spin over the top of me to get a few points. So I lost because of that, and I was just so frustrated. I was like really annoyed, and then afterwards he said that he did it because he'd been watching, and he just thought that he just thought that I would get him if he was gonna attack all the time. So he just let me attack, and then found a way to get out of it. So that was frustrating. But is
No,
it that?
I'm confused. So I
Uh-huh.
thought that wrestling is all kind of like predetermined of who wins,
No,
or
so that's what I'm, no, so that's what I'm saying. So amateur wrestling is actually actual fighting, actual wrestling.
oh, and that what you were doing was the amateur one, was it?
Yeah, that like at
Ah,
first,
so that
yeah.
wasn't like you've slept with his wife and now he's found out about it and he's not
No,
happy, and you have a big face off, but you know who's going to win. It'll be the bad guy
yeah.
will lose, sort of thing.
Well,
Isn't
that's
that?
that's the pro wrestling, right? So pro wrestling is so fun. It's I haven't done it for a while because I tore my shoulder, but that is yeah, pro wrestling for me. I've always been the heel, which is the baddie.
Mm.
Um, and it's just oh yeah, it's really fun, really fun. And I've
So
done
you
all
have
sorts
like
of
a
stuff.
story where you've been like the villain,
Yeah, so
and you have to lose.
I'll let everyone into sort of a little bit of the secret of everyone knows this anyway, right? But
Yeah, my
yeah,
mate when I was at school didn't.
yeah. So what you do is like as a just like you show up. Obviously, somebody wants you to be there to wrestle in the first place, right? And when you've start, you might be given some opportunities. Like you might be given the first match, a warm up match, and the first match of a show, a wrestling show, is always should be the shortest match. It should be nice and fast paced, and just to get everybody sort of involved. Should be ideally it would be good to have a lot of audience participation. So like and the wrestlers are like clapping and stuff, and then they get the clap, yeah, and all of that. So and then yeah, and then you start like I was when I first started wrestling, I was part of I was part of a thing called the Cruise Coalition. So there's a wrestler called Cruz, and we'd had a whole. It was just over a year of a full on storyline where we would show up as a group and be the really nasty evil group that would beat people up, and do you know what I mean? Like we'd show up at the end of a match and prevent one of the good guys from winning and all of that. So it's just all really fun, and it kind of ended. It came to a peak where we had to. It was I think it was a title match between Cruz and Rich and Famous. Love Rich and Famous, and Rich and Famous the good guy, Cruz the bad guy, and the deal was that if Rich and Famous won, the Cruz Coalition would be disbanded, and then and that was a cage match. That was really good.
Mm.
Um, and then so obviously the good guy won, and we had to disband.
Oh,
Yeah, shocking. But it
well,
was
that was the end of it.
well, that was the end. That was the end of that kind of part of it because then me and another guy from the Cruise Coalition became what we called the Exiled,
Mm.
and almost did the same thing. We were a tag team, but we would show up and beat people up, and then
This was arranged, though. I take it. You didn't just like
yeah,
escape
yeah,
off the wrestling event and just beat
nah,
people up. So they
no,
This was
No,
part of the story.
exactly. We've done all kinds of stuff. We've done it in loads of different ways, right? Where a straightforward tag match to a one where we've showed up in the audience and then got up and started a fight with like another tag team who are the good guys, and then they've challenged us to a street fight. So then we've had a street fight. And we've even gone outside the venue as well and fought out in the street and stuff as well. But like I said, it's just so much fun. You can hurt yourself and stuff. So but yeah, when it comes to planning, so you'll show up, you'll be given an opponent, you'll be told like this is basically you'll be told like usually you'll be told who the promoter wants to win, and then you formulate a match around that.
There's
And
a lot of planning involved.
well, sometimes you've only got like 10 minutes to plan before you're on. So when you say a lot of planning, this is where you have to have prior knowledge of how structure of a match works. So yeah, so like in this kind of applies to it's slightly different if you're in a tag team than it is if you'd like a singles match. But you'll have an introduction, right? And usually for me, I always did like a like you hook up, and then one of you will push the other. Or usually, me as the bad guy will push the other guy into the corner and push his face and everything, and then the ref will be like telling you to stop and count to 4 before you let go, and then I'll give him a slap across the face, right? And then you link up again, and then the other guy pushes you in the corner, and might give you a slap back, just to and then uh, and then so usually so you got that kind of intro where you just do something which kind of builds things up. The good guy might sort of stamp his foot so to get everybody clapping, the bit of support for the good guy. And then what you do is, and then then the next bit is the shine, and that's when the good guy sort of takes over. He looks like he's really in control. He's really cool. He's really good, and everyone's like, "Yeah, this guy's brilliant. You're gonna destroy this bad guy." Um, and then the bad guy does something like the best thing to do is to cheat to get the upper hand. Yeah, I used to do things like roll out of the ring and be like, "Oh, I'm not fighting anymore." So everyone's like, "Boo, boo," and I go to walk out, and then I might like the good guy will jump out the ring to come after me. So I'll just roll back in the ring, and when he rolls back in, I'll just give him a kick and then start beating him up.
Is it all improvised at the time, that bit, though?
So
you just think, I'm going to do that, and then they follow your cue.
Well, you'll discuss this, right? So the best thing is to know the structure of the match, which I'm just kind of going through.
So you're saying, right, this is the point where the good guy's on top, and now you've got to do something to make you even more villainous.
Yeah. So me and the other guy might have a conversation beforehand and be like, right, so for the intro we'll just do this. Then be like, I'll be like, what do you want to do for the shine? And he'll be like, oh, this is what I normally do. So you're like, all right, cool. And then I might be like, okay, for the heat. The next bit is the heat, and this is where the bad guy takes over and just takes their time to just beat the good guy down. And I'll be like, okay, then. So for the heat, I'll just like roll out of the ring, run around. You follow me, and then I'll just like jump on you when you're getting in the ring. But there's other things you can do as well. If you've got a manager who's with you, you can get them to distract the ref while you do something illegal. That's always good. And then then this is the psychology around like pro wrestling matches is the bad guy is supposed to take the time, be slower, right? Because then when the good guy comes back, it makes them look even faster and even better. So the job of the heel is to make the good guy look good, basically. So yeah, so for the next like maybe for the next like 8 minutes or something, it depends on how long you get a match, but a good match probably between 10 and 15 minutes. So you might have 8 minutes of me just like beating a guy down, doing some really awful looking moves, looking like I'm trying to kill him, punching him a lot. I do a lot of punching, and then there'll be a comeback, and but it could be like what they call a false hope, where the good guy starts coming back. He's building up, the crowd are going, yeah, come on, yes, that's it. And then all of a sudden, I'll cheat again, or just do something really nasty. Like really, just smack him
Fart in
on.
his face.
Yeah,
You'll have
yeah.
to. Are you going to do a wrestling match again anytime soon?
Probably not for a while. I'm actually at the minute, my shoulders are all good, so I want to get fit for when I go on holiday next year in May. So I feel like I want to get fit and then start going back to wrestling again because I
I'll
do.
have to watch
Always.
one of your matches.
Oh
It'll
yeah.
be fun. We'll video
I'll
it and
I'll
we'll
yeah
stream it.
yeah. I'll see if I can dig some matches out and send you it. But yeah. So
I've
then you
seen your training videos where you're showing each other like this is how you do a throw or this is how you do a fall and that kind of
yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. So hold on, I'll just finish telling you about a match, right? So the bad guy will beat the good guy down. The good guy will have a false hope, like it's just about to come back, and then he gets smashed down again, and then the bad guy will take over again. And then the end of the match is you kind of work it out amongst yourselves, like whoever's been told that to win. So if the good guy's winning, then the bad guy. This is what I always do. So one of my finishers is what everyone just calls the Angel of the North, right? But I get on the stand right on top of the turnbuckle and it's a diving headbutt basically from the top turnbuckle, which is why I ended up with like tearing my shoulder and stuff. But
thing.
I've fractured my elbow as well doing this, trying to
What,
protect
in the
somebody.
middle of a match?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
But
continue on or did you have to get carted off?
no, you just continue. You
Oh,
just continue, get on, and
adrenaline.
then yeah, I was like, ow, that really, really hurt. But then you
Oh.
just keep getting on with it. Actually, I took the kids to see a show about a month ago, and in the very first match, the guy actually got really hurt, broke his ribs, right?
Oh.
But he lay down in the middle of the ring and then had to stay there until the ambulance came.
Oh, what, they were fighting around him?
Mate, no, they could. Well, no, the show was just paused. The only thing is, it took them 2 hours to get there.
Oh my God.
So
Did people like wait around or did they go like,
the majority of people waited, and then we watched
oh,
the rest of the show. It was really good, but it was like it was so frustrating. But like, you know what I mean? It was one of those things that you're like, oh. I mean, I was like, because I knew a lot of them. I was like, mate, just roll them out. But they're like, no, we can't. We need to. He's lying there. He can't. He's saying that he can't really move. So all right
oh
then.
the ribs. Like if you've broken some ribs, it'll be like breathing hurts, breathing hurts.
Yeah. But
Oh,
honestly, if like personally, if I'd have done that, I
you'd
wouldn't
have
have
rolled
lit.
out.
I would have rolled out, and
Yeah.
I can crawl out, or they can carry me somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And then we'll get an ambulance later, and the show has to continue. That's
Yeah.
that's my thing.
Yeah.
Um. So in this whole match, right? You get to the end, and I would go to do a diving headbutt, and if the good guy's going to win, they would roll out of the way, and then next thing you know, we're battling each other again, and then the good guy does some cool moves, and he looks really cool, and he looks really fast, and he looks awesome, and then beats me. Um, if it's the other way around, usually I would cheat to win. So I
Uh,
might do a diving headbutt. He might even miss the diving headbutt, but I might do the diving headbutt, go to pin, he kicks out, and then I'll get really frustrated, and I might get my manager to smash him in the head, while I distract the ref, or you know what I mean. I might do something like that to win,
or,
because as a
or
bad
ma-
guy, you can't. It's not really great to win cleanly. You have to be ultra bad.
yeah, that's your role, isn't it? It's like the one where they've just knocked the bad guys down, and the bad guy's like, I can't get up or anything, and then the good guy turns around, he's cheering and back to the bad guy, and the crowd are cheering, and the bad guy gets up and hits him from behind and pushes him over or something.
Yeah, yeah. So
And I love
that
it. That's what they want, isn't it? They want someone to hate, they want someone to cheer.
yeah. So yeah, I've had some really good matches. I've had some matches where actually most of my matches have been really good. Actually, I had one really really early on where I wrestled this guy who he does a lot of like more old school world of sport wrestling. Um and it was it was in a tent. It was in because it was a part of a it was in like a circus tent, but it was part of a fairground thing. And this is where things can go wrong, right? Some people plan every single thing down to the minute detail, which is fine if you want something to happen. But I work much better if everything's a lot more open ended. Like, oh, we'll do this at this point, and then I'll do some stuff until this next point. That works much better for me. But some people like to plan everything. They'll go, right, so the intro will do this, 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 this. Then you do this, 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 and then you know what I mean. So they'll plan the whole thing. And the only problem with that is every match that I've been in where I've wrestled with people that are like that, I've done it in tag matches as well as singles, is if something goes wrong in the middle somewhere, like you've forgotten what's supposed to come next, it's really difficult to recover it because like we had a four-way tag ladder match at one point, and because it had been planned, every detail had been like really, really planned. Um, somebody missed something part of it, which meant that the wrestlers that were supposed to get in and do the next bit hadn't done the previous bit to set them up to do the next bit. Does that you know
So
what I
the
mean?
whole thing, one little mistake, and that
Yeah.
put it out of sync.
Yep.
So I'm waiting here because you're meant to rush in at this point, but you're not here.
Exactly. So yeah, and what's funny about pro wrestling is if you watch the WWE, you start to like John Cena, for example. Really entertaining and everything. But as a pro wrestler watching him, you can see him blatantly talking, and you can like so you do talk to each other because you might miss something. But like, oh, what's
What he's
next?
prompting, like, right, what
Yeah,
you need to do is that.
yeah. But I mean, they've got a huge crowd, so you know it's unlikely to be heard and stuff really. But you can just see like it's just really blatant about it, um, which is sort of fine. But yeah, it's all of it's really entertaining, but you do talk to each other as you do it because, and your job really is to protect the other person, make sure you don't actually hurt them, and put on a good show for the people watching. That's the whole point of it. But when things go a little bit wrong, for example, I had a tag match and one of the guys punched us in the face. Right, we're hitting each
Oh,
other, and he actually punches us in the face. So I'm like,
accidentally, I
ow.
presume.
Ow. Yeah, accidentally proper smacked us in the face. So I'm like, ow. So what you say is you're like, receipt. So that means he's just giving you a receipt, right? And you're going to use that later to get them back.
Oh, so you say receipt is a
Yeah.
return.
Yeah. So that means that you'll do something like one of the things that hurt really, or like even like some of the big moves, um, as long as you fall correctly and stuff, you know, generally you're not going to hurt yourself. Sometimes you might wind yourself accidentally or something like that. Um, But the things that like sting are the slaps. You know, the slaps across
Yeah.
the face, slaps across the chest, and to get someone back for something that they're like messed up, a really good way is to just put them in the corner and give them a few slaps across the chest because the crowd love it,
And,
and it really stings.
and is that when you tell them receipt
Yeah,
back?
exactly, exactly.
He know he messed up when
Yeah,
he accidentally punched you in the face and
yeah.
gave you a receipt.
Mind you, I've seen some people get really angry over things. Like I got kicked in the head once. I think they call it an inzaguri, where you probably will have seen this. If anyone watching wrestling will have seen this move where like the person's like on the knees and the wrestler comes up and basically just like kind of jumps up and kicks them in the head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You don't generally get proper kicked in the head, but I've been proper kicked in the head.
Oh.
Um, and sometimes, I mean, that's a definite receipt for that. But it also becomes a bit dangerous as well. So wrestlers get really wound up, and I've seen like people argue afterwards, and you know things like that. And I did see one what was like funny in a way, but it just shows you know you can get a little bit carried away with things. And one of the wrestlers had been out there with a microphone, and he'd been rah 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 doing some shouting at the crowd, and then he threw the microphone down on the floor. It sounded like it was on the floor, not the probably a bit different on the actual ring itself because there's a little bit of give in the ring. So throwing the microphone on the ring might have been as you know a little bit cushiony, so not so bad. But I think he's throwing it on the floor anyway. the guy who owned the microphone came like smashing into the like backstage and had a proper go at him. Like
Oh,
was
really?
really angry because it's it costs money, doesn't it?
Awkward.
Guy was like, "Oh, sorry. Oh, be careful with equipment. You know what I mean? Don't break anything, really."
Just break
Yeah,
each other.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
that's actually interesting because you both think last night in karate we were doing like it's called bunkai, and what it is, it's I told you about the kata.
Yeah,
You get into a group, and you've got to apply that specific kata, the moves, and apply them to an actual fight.
yeah,
So two of us like fighting someone who's doing the kata moves, and actually so it'd use a move to grab, swing you around, block someone who's attacking you in the front, and then it go on like that. And then the last move, he'd grab someone, pulled them around, and then threw them, and then he flew into me, and we both fell back. So it's almost like a wrestling thing that you described there. We're
yeah,
discussing what moves, and then you put on a show,
yeah,
but you all know what each other's doing. Kind of like, I've got to keep, you've got to block like that, you've got to pull me around like that.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I could do a bit of wrestling with you.
Maybe.
Wrestling.
Some of the things that are frowned upon now, especially in for companies like the WWE and stuff like that, is I'm saying it's frowned upon. Actually, it's probably like obviously the big wrestling company. They seem to do it and they're okay, but it's blading. So if you wrestlers have always bladed, right, and that just means they've got a little like a what do you call it, a little razor, and they've usually got it taped on the wrist or something inside the tape. And at some point in the match, they will plan on just stabbing themselves in the forehead a little bit
Yeah.
with the blade, and your head bleeds a lot, so you can just
What? It's
yeah, so
true.
yeah, this is true. So you'll stab yourself a little bit in the head, in the forehead, and it'll bleed loads, and you can just
That's,
like
that's insane.
people can go over the top with it though, and end up with like all kinds of scars.
Yeah, that's a bit scary. That's the darker side of wrestling, the blading.
A little bit, yeah. People can go a little bit over the top. They can cut a little bit too much, and you don't need to. You can just like stick it in your head a little bit.
No, but that's
And
fine. If you just stick it in your head a little bit, that's not going over the top, is it? That's insane.
oh yeah, true. Some people can like they'll do it a little bit and go, I don't know if I've done it enough, so they'll cut themselves. Like you don't have to like proper like dig it in there.
I'm kind of thinking to myself, oh, I'd be interested in doing a bit of wrestling. No, I'm like, no, I don't want to cut myself.
You don't do that all the time though. That's like fairly
Have you ever
rare.
done
And
it?
no, I've never done it actually.
Oh, I was going to
So
say, oh,
never really needed to.
it's like
But
all those scars on your forehead.
yeah,
You can't even comb your hair over it, can you?
yeah. But yeah. So that happens, and like I think that's more of a personal choice. Like if you want to do it, then you do it. If you don't, then you don't. But also, I think promoters aren't really going to want blood all over the ring
Or over,
as
you
well.
wouldn't want to fight someone that's dripping blood on you.
Yeah, I don't think when you're wrestling, I don't think you mind so much.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, so like I've just trying to think. Um, I've wrestled when you accidentally cut yourself. Um, I'm trying to think of the street match. Yeah, Scott was bleeding, but usually it's all So in WWE, they won't. I don't think at the moment they want you to because it's a lot more PG. It's supposed
yeah.
to be for kids to watch and everything.
And they don't want to see real blood, do they?
Well, I don't know, like because I was put a wrestling match on from is it AEW, one of the other big wrestling company. Just shows how long I haven't really looked at it for. But yeah, and the girls were fighting. It was like I think it was like a four-way something, and the girls were bleeding.
Oh,
and
God.
but yeah, my son he was loving it. He thought it was brilliant. But I did as well as a kid, like because because it doesn't happen all the time, and when it does happen, it adds to the like, oh my god, this is you know what I mean? This is just
It's
crazy.
so amazing.
It's like once I got there's a move called the RKO, um, by a wrestler called Randy Orton, but and he kind of if you jump up in the air with your kind of your body and your face facing down, then he'll jump up and like kind of the opposite way where you're kind of looking up and grab a hold of your head and then you both kind of fall to the floor at the same time. Um, I got I was at the top of a ladder and Rich and Famous did that to me on the top of a ladder, and it was absolutely perfect. Like worked fine, like worked well together. So stuff like that though could go wrong if one of you don't do something, or do you know what I mean? If you're a little bit maybe inexperienced, or we it just reminds us, right? We did this. I think it was a three. You know, one of those matches where you got tag teams, but there's like three tag teams having a fight,
Yeah.
and you're all like tagging each other in, sort of thing. We did that, and we grabbed one of them, and we did what they call the Tower of Doom, and it's where you've got like two wrestlers who grab. Well, it. What happens is one wrestler is sitting on the top of the turnbuckle, another wrestler runs up to do um uh oh, what do you call it? I'm always really bad at sort of remembering names of moves. But do a suplex off the top of the turnbuckle, right? You know, they call it a superplex, where they're actually standing on both ropes, and then
Oh, and they throw themselves and jump.
yeah,
off.
they throw they go backwards and pull the other guy off, and they both land on the backs.
Oh, that's a
Well,
classic move.
classic move. Well, the Tower of Doom is where two other wrestlers show up and run and grab a hold of the legs of the person doing the suplex or the superplex.
Bloody hell.
So then you do this huge. It's not really that much different. It just looks like so much bigger, but it's not that much difference from doing a superplex, which is sort of, big enough. But it just looks even worse because you've got like, the three layers rather than just sort of the two. And I remember doing that once, and the wrestler that was at the top of the tower, he was going, "I'm not ready. I'm not ready."
I'm not ready.
And we just went, and we just like, tough. So we just did it. But that's what, when you know what you're doing, you're not going to hurt them. You have to trust each other, really. If you got somebody going, I'm not ready, you're not just, because you're putting on a show, you're not just going to stop and go, okay, then sorry.
We'll wait for you. Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
won't. No, you break the illusion.
Yeah, exactly. So amateur wrestling, real sort of grappling, real sort of fighting, and pro wrestling is it's all for the show. It's all for entertainment of the people watching.
There's a lot of skill involved though, because you have to learn all, like with karate, you've got to learn all the different moves, combinations for that.
Yeah,
the names of it all.
Yeah.
What did you go to wrestling school for this? I wouldn't even know where you'd learn all that. Or did you just self-taught or a school?
No, yeah, there are like several wrestling schools. I think when I started, there was only like one real main school, and then somehow I got word that there was one sort of about 20 miles away from me, and I was like, oh, so I just showed up one day, and the guy that was running it looked like a wrestler. He had long hair, and he was like full of muscle, and I was like, I must be in the right place.
Yeah.
But really quickly, within a few weeks, right, I'd snapped my little finger, which was really random. Didn't hurt, but and then I had to sort of have this little plastic thing on my finger, my little finger, for months, just until it healed. But
It didn't put you off though.
No, I was like straight back after that. But it was really weird because, and the worst thing is, they were, as part of the training, they were doing like shoot wrestling, like amateur wrestling. So I was like just beating everyone because I'd already had experience in amateur wrestling. So that was easy for me. And a lot of pro wrestlers don't know anything about amateur wrestling. They just like pro wrestling. They love watching it, so they wanna do it. And yeah, so when all of a sudden they have to do some real wrestling because part of your training, they're like, what the hell? But anyway, yeah, I just kind of randomly snapped my finger, and I was like, that was weird because it was just hanging. and I was like shaking my hand, going, "Ugh."
And that's when you obtained the name the Swede.
Yeah.
Oh, you so got to call yourself the Swede.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
So, what do you reckon then? Who would win in a fight between a karate guy and a wrestler?
That's a really tough. We're talking amateur, obviously wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the grapple. So I guess if you got me sort of in a hold, I'm done for, aren't I?
Yeah, because that's
it's a lot of like you'll be more sort of, I imagine, an aggressive fighter going for like get your objective, get me down to the ground. If you get me down to the ground, there's not a lot I could do against that. Wade, my technique would be like you'd have to catch me.
Yeah.
I'd be a little more lighter on my feet, maybe trying to duck around and move around. Like you said earlier about you had your fight and you had someone who was like just getting out of your holds and finding a way to get away. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's a hard call because they're two entirely different forms, aren't they?
Yeah, because you have to choose what rules to go under, and a wrestler can't really wrestle under the rules of karate, I don't suppose. And then yeah, and karate is just so different from grappling.
Yeah, you'd have to go for like I think closed in fighting, where I'd be better at maybe keeping a fighting distance, going in punch, keeping away from you.
Yeah,
We'll find that out.
I suppose that's why people like mixed martial arts, isn't it? Because they can mix all of this, can mix it all up, and MMA, yeah.
There we go. Well,
well, we
have
can't
a
even
fight.
answer that last question.
No, I think that's too difficult. I think they're two different styles completely. That there's advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. Well, what's the answer to who would win in a pro wrestling fight between between a karate guy and a wrestler? The answer is whoever's been told to win.
Oh yeah, I like it. Whatever the script says.
Yeah, exactly. we've probably talked that to death. Hopefully, listeners found that interesting. A little bit of an insight into those things. So, yeah, you've been listening to Kev and Steve on Nerds Talk. Subscribe to our podcast on everywhere: Apple, Spotify, Audible, Overcast, YouTube, and Rumble. You can find my stuff at stevensweeney.co.uk and check out my comic book at brinkcasefiles.com. Kev?
Kevin Grover fiction.co.uk. Check my books out on Amazon under Kevin Grover, and yeah, enjoy.
Until next time, laters.
Bye bye.